I will call this February 22nd, 2021 meeting of the Richfield Planning Commission to order. Staff, will you please take roll call for attendance?
Yes, thank you. Chair Quam.
Here.
Commissioner Keneally.
Here.
Commissioner Lavin.
Here.
Commissioner Pinn.
Here.
Commissioner Rosenberg.
Here.
Commissioner Rudolph.
Here.
And Commissioner Stursa.
Here.
7 present and nobody is absent.
Thank you, Nellie. So while we are meeting virtually, the public can call in live to both our open forums or our public hearings. The phone number for either of those is on our Planning Commission Agendas and Minutes webpage. That number, and I'll repeat it a couple times tonight, the number is 612-861-0651. I wanted to, so to everyone at the meeting tonight, please raise your hand for the chair to call on you to help viewers follow along. That said, if you're simply making a motion or a second, why don't you just go ahead, raise your hand, and say Commissioner so-and-so, because it isn't too complicated. And also, please feel free to jump in if the chair makes an error, which some of you have done. So there's a lot to remember. So next I wanted to welcome our planning commissioner. Brendan Keneally is here with us and makes number 7 of 7. So he took the place of Sean Hayford O'Leary, who went to the city council. And Brendan, or Commissioner Keneally, has lived in Richfield twice, this last time since I think 2019, and met someone from Richfield online who was on a commission and got him interested in applying. So would you like to add anything, Commissioner Keneally? We're happy you're here.
I'm happy to be here. Got a wife and kids downstairs cooperating with this meeting, and yeah, just thrilled to get to work with you.
Well, be sure and ask any questions that come up because it helps everybody. All right, next we have approval of the minutes of our meeting on January 25th, 2021. Do we have a motion and second?
I'm going to motion, so moved.
I'll second.
Okay. And that is Commissioner Rudolph moves and Commissioner Lavin seconds. Any discussion about the last meeting's minutes? Okay. All right, Nellie, would you take roll call on the meeting minutes?
Yes, thank you. Chair Quam.
Aye.
Commissioner Keneally.
Aye.
Commissioner Lavin.
Aye.
Commissioner Pinn.
Aye.
Commissioner Rosenberg.
Aye.
Commissioner Rudolph.
Aye.
And Commissioner Stursa.
Aye.
All ayes, and the motion passes.
Thank you. All right, next we have open forum, which is an opportunity for citizens, for residents, I should say, to address the commission on items not on the agenda. Anyone watching, you can call in right now if you want to share something with us that is not on the agenda. You'd have 3 minutes to do so, and we really would like to hear from the public more now that we are virtual. The number again was stated earlier. It's 612-861-0651. No experience necessary. You don't have to be an expert to call in and share with us. And you can also call in ahead of time and leave a voice message or send an email. That information is on that same page, the agendas and page. Staff, did we have any comments or voicemails ahead of time for the open forum?
Chair Quam, there were no comments received.
All right, and do we have any callers waiting for open forum? Otherwise, we'll wait a minute and see if anyone calls in.
Chair Quam, I don't see any callers on the line right this minute.
Thank you. We'll just wait 1 minute. 612-861-0651. Okay, I'm going to move on. It's the same number every meeting, so please, if you missed your chance tonight, you'll have another chance at every upcoming meeting. Next, we have approval of tonight's agenda. Do we have a motion and a second? Could you say which commissioner you are when you move in second, please?
Commissioner Pin, so moved.
Commissioner Rosenberg, second.
Thank you. Any discussion about tonight's agenda? All right, Nellie, would you please take the roll call?
Yes, I will. Chair Quam,
Aye.
Commissioner Keneally.
Aye.
Commissioner Lavin,
Aye.
Commissioner Pin,
Aye.
Commissioner Rosenberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Rudolph,
Aye.
and Commissioner Sturza.
Aye.
All ayes, and the motion passes.
Thank you. All right, we are up to our public hearing. Our public hearings are published in Richfield's official newspaper, which is the Sun Current, and also on our website, at least 10 days before the public hearing. Residents are encouraged to call or write in if you have an interest in that item. You can also call in live tonight. The number again, 612-861-0651. So first we will, the staff will read the report, and I'll read before we open it up to the callers, so you have time to get ready. Let's see. So I'm going to read the introductory statement, which we introduced last time, about what type of item we are considering. So the purpose of the introductory statement is to clarify for the audience the authority as well as the constraints that the Planning Commission has in considering each particular type of application. Tonight, the Planning Commission is asked to consider an amendment to the zoning code. Amendment to the zoning code is the type. An amendment to the code is a change to the rules that govern what is allowed in specific areas of the city. Any amendment must be in keeping with the comprehensive plan. After consideration, the Commission makes a recommendation to the City Council, and they then vote. An amendment to a zoning ordinance may be initiated by the Planning Commission, the City Council, or by petition of affected property owners. The Richfield Zoning Code and Comprehensive Plan are both available on the city's website all the time. So that was our introductory statement. Tonight, the public hearing will consider changes to the city's zoning code that would allow for somewhat larger garage structures if an accessory dwelling unit, or ADU, is attached in the single family, both R and R1 residential districts. Staff, would you read your report, please?
Yes, thank you. So this is a public hearing to consider changes to the city's zoning code for garages with an ADU attached in R and R1 districts. In 2015, the city adopted rules that would allow the construction of an accessory dwelling unit, ADU, in the single-family residential districts. These rules allowed the construction of internal, attached, and detached ADUs, provided a number of criteria were met. The rules did not increase the allowable square footage of garages or the total square footage of all combined accessory structures. Section 514.05 and 518.05, so the R and R1 zoning district rules of the zoning code, currently limit garage structures to a maximum of 1,000 square feet of floor area. This maximum, which is described in Part A of Subdivision 3, includes areas devoted to car parking, storage, accessory dwelling unit, office, or similar habitable space. Part B of Subdivision 3 limits the total accessory building floor area to 1,200 square feet, or 13% of the lot for lots over 15,000 square feet. For reference, this would be about 1,950 square feet of accessory structures for a 15,000 square foot lot. Since 2015, only one new ADU has been constructed, and it was an internal ADU, so it was inside of the main residential structure. The applicant would like to build a detached accessory dwelling unit as part of a new garage. The proposed ADU would meet setback and height requirements, but would exceed the maximum garage size allowed. The applicant would not meet requirements necessary for approval of a variance, but upon review of the proposal, staff has recommended that an ordinance change be considered instead. The lot at 6821 Oakland Avenue is over 15,000 square feet. As a larger lot, the overall square footage of accessory structures allowed is 13% of the lot area. The proposed ADU is 721 square feet and is designed as a single level living space using universal design principles that makes the space more accessible for people with disabilities or similar needs. The proposed two-car garage is insert square feet. Apologies for that typo. This is a modest sized two-car garage. However, combined with the proposed ADU, the total square footage of the structure, so the ADU and the parking space, is 1,325 square feet. So this is beneath the allowable total for the lot, but the structure itself is 325 square feet larger than allowed for the single garage structure. When ADU standards were initially adopted in 2015, the intent was to allow them above accessory garage structures, not alongside them. So staff is recommending that this decision be reconsidered, as single level living can be important for households looking to add an ADU. Staff is proposing an ordinance amendment allowing the first 400 square feet of a garage attached ADU to be deducted from the 1,000 square foot floor area limit of that garage. So any garage attached ADU would still need to comply with the 1,200 or 13% for larger lots square foot maximum for all total accessory structure floor area. No garage with an attached ADU could ever be over 1,400 square feet, even on a larger lot, or 1,200 square feet on a small lot, so lots under 15,000 square feet. The proposed ordinance change would not affect ADU size regulations, size requirements of at least 300 square feet up to 800 square feet for ADUs, and would not affect garage height regulations. This proposed change would make it easier to attach an ADU to the side or rear of a garage, avoiding the need for stairs or height increases. And this change could help residents age in place, and it would support more accessible multi-generational living styles. So I do have some of the plans that I can share, and I believe the homeowner is here and can answer any questions. So I'll share those plans, and then we can okay, of course, if I have them. There we go. So this would be the existing conditions of the lot.
Excuse me, Nellie, is this in our packet?
This should be in your packet, yes.
Do you know what page or?
I'm not sure.
10 or 11 of 30.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so this is the existing, and then I can show the proposed, and if anyone would like me to switch back and forth, let me know.
So basically, oh, sorry.
Commissioner, who was first? Ken? Yeah.
Sure.
Go ahead.
If that's okay. So I just have a question for staff. Is there a reason why we're going for a full rule change instead of a variance on this request? Because I'm assuming with this rule change, this applicant that's mentioned is they'll be able to just, essentially whatever they can do that can fit under the rules, right? I mean, is there a reason why we didn't go for a variance instead?
Melissa can add anything, but the reason that this wouldn't meet requirements for a variance is because there's nothing unusual about the lot that would prohibit them from meeting ADU requirements, ADU and garage requirements. So even though their proposal seems reasonable, it would not meet rules required to approve a variance.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Rudolph?
So in the existing house, does it currently has a detached garage? So this new garage is that correct replacing that with the ADU?
Commissioner Rudolph, that is correct. They are, I believe, moving the garage, building a new garage, moving it a little bit, and attaching an ADU.
Okay.
This is Chair Kwam. With the screen share, I can currently see only 4 of our commissioners. So if you're raising your hand and I'm not calling you, please just yell out Chair Kwam, because I can't see everybody obviously. So
Chair Kwam, this is Peter.
yeah, go ahead.
A question for first of all, a question for the city. Well, first question for the homeowner. Are the neighbors on board with this? I mean, it's a big renovation. I support it. I like ADU units. I'm just wondering if there's been any feedback from the neighborhood. This will be a substantial build in the lot.
Can you hear me? Did I unmute successfully?
Yes.
Okay. When we were originally going for a variance, well, my son actually owns the house. My son, my favorite son, and his wife. He spoke to the neighbors on the south and the north, and they did actually sign the variance application. So they did. He's talked to the neighbors on the north and the south, but I believe that the neighbor right directly behind him is gone for the winter, so he wasn't able to speak to him. But also, I just might mention that the reason the garage is being torn down is because it doesn't have frost footings, so we'd have to tear down the garage. So we're going to move it over to, take more advantage of, use the yard more efficiently, move it over closer to the south.
Okay, thank you. My follow-up question is for the staff, and it dovetails what Commissioner Pinn was suggesting. Is I'm a little bit, I just want a little bit more clarification on why we couldn't do this through a variance. My fear is that after several meetings ago with that driveway variance discussion, that there were several side discussions on that as well, that we're not going to be able to approve variances that make sense. This makes sense. This is rational, and it's something that I would consider to be, kind of a no-brainer. But instead, we're going to move towards amending policy or code, and I'm not sure that's the way to go.
Commissioner Lavin and Chair Kwam also, it would be great if we could have speakers introduce themselves and state their address for the record so that we have those for the minutes. So Mrs. McInerney, will have you do that in just a second. In regard to the request for a variance. So a variance is when there are unique circumstances specific to a property that would make something reasonable that isn't reasonable throughout the community. When we look at this proposal, what we see is that there's nothing unique about this property. It's just a reasonable proposal to allow an ADU beside a garage. It's reasonable to allow it to be a reasonable size, to allow single level living. These are good things. These are things that we want to encourage throughout the community. It's not something unique to this site. It's something that we would like to allow, and we think the community would benefit from allowing on a regular basis.
No, I don't disagree with you. I think in this case, it is reasonable. I caution city staff from getting into the habit or going down the route of changing zoning code because variances are hard to defend.
Commissioner Lavin, the zoning code is a living document. We see it as a document that should change as the norms of the community change. And so this is something that should happen when reasonable proposals come forward. So thank you for that caution.
I agree with that. I agree with you in this case that there's no reason why this shouldn't go forward.
Okay, this is Chair Kwam. I'm wondering if we could temporarily take down the screen share, Nellie, because it's just too hard to facilitate. And then if someone has a question, we could maybe pop it up again on a certain page. And then before the applicants introduce themselves, I just want to reiterate that even though they are here about the Oakland property, this is really about a bigger thing, which some of you are kind of saying. It's about changing it in the code for all of residential and low density residential. So we're not just looking at this one. This is just our example case as I understand it. So on that note, with the people on Oakland whose favorite sons live there, introduce yourselves and what you'd like to share about this.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to introduce myself and talk a little bit about the project. So I'm Margaret McInerney. I'm 71 years old, and I've been widowed for 6 years. I have 4 children, and my youngest and favorite son, Patrick, and his wife, Carly, own the property on Oakland. In fact, it happens to be Carly's childhood home. So when I decided to downsize, Patrick suggested that I build a tiny house, and it's officially an ADU, and I thought that's really very cool, and I feel very lucky. So we decided, along with John Sylvester, he's our designer, and he is actually here too. We decided that an ADU attached to the garage would provide the most privacy for Patrick's family and for me, also because who wants to live in their basement? I'd be close to my family, but I would have the advantage of my own place. So we embarked on the design and planning with John Sylvester, and we applied for a variance, and as you heard from Nellie and Melissa, that was not the proper way to go. So here we are tonight about the amendment. It's going to allow a little bit of extra footage for my living space. So I think that this is about space, not just for me, but for other people, other families who would like to keep their family close. And I think intergenerational living is really becoming an attractive option for families. So I'm excited, and I'm a little bit nervous to see all this project come to life. So I'm really lucky that I have really good health. I like to be involved in the community. I've got a lot of living and maybe traveling if I get a vaccine ever. So having a safe place so I can age in place and still enjoy everything that life has to offer is really important to me. So thanks for considering this. And if you have any questions for me or for the designer, John Sylvester, he's here. So that's it.
Mr. Sylvester?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you for hearing this. We met a lot of challenges in trying to meet with the Richfield zoning code here. It seems like there's kind of a catch-22 where we encourage ADUs, but the square footages that are allowed just don't seem to work. And that's part of what we got started here. And as we've mentioned before too, the reason we want to put this on a single level is because of the ability for people to universal design, basically. The interesting thing is that we've been able to meet all the setbacks. In fact, we've exceeded all the setbacks that would be required on the property for a detached structure. The real challenge is that the city allows 1,000 square feet for a garage, but when you add an ADU, you only get 1,200 square feet, and there's just no way that you can make an apartment that's even when you have a decent sized garage, which is roughly what we have here. It's not a very large garage. It's only 521 square feet. Trying to make the math work just didn't work. So it seems like we've kind of found this catch-22 in the zoning code. And Nellie and Melissa have kind of helped us in trying to make this work for everybody. It appears that the zoning code isn't quite keeping up to some of the requirements here. One other point I'd like to make, and that is some municipalities also allow detached ADU units, and Richfield requires them to be attached and requires them to be attached to the garage. So we have to start from scratch. You can't attach a all-season building to a garage that's on a floating slab. We actually have to tear down the garage, which is in fine shape, just to consider this. So that's also something that's been a challenge here, is that we have to work, we have to tear down the garage and build a new garage just to make, because Richfield requires them to be attached.
Thank you. So just generally, we're going to, if there are more questions, we'll do that and just how it will go, and then we'll open the public hearing for people that want to call, because this affects more than just the people in that area. and then we will close the public hearing, discuss, and then make a motion if we want to. Commissioner Rudolph?
Yes, I've got a question for city staff. So what would it be to just make the zoning code so we didn't so the ADU did not have to be attached? That sounds like a fairly straightforward thing, I would think, instead of requiring it to be attached to like the garage.
Commissioner Rudolph, when the standards for ADUs were initially adopted, the community was a little bit nervous about adding these. And in particular, they were a little bit nervous about shipping containers and other types of maybe not so attractive pods coming to be located in people's backyards. So the compromise was to require them to be internal, to be attached, or to be attached to the garage. And at the time, the thought was that if they were going to be attached to the garage, they should be a second floor. So I think incrementally, we're testing out these rules. The Planning Commission could certainly recommend at some point that we remove the requirement that it be attached to anything and then it be allowed as a freestanding structure. I do think that's a larger policy change than what we're proposing here, and perhaps should involve a study session with the City Council and some public input. This felt like a fairly modest change to allow rather than on top alongside.
This is Chair Quam. So just to kind of see if I understand what you said, Molly, is the maximum of the garage and the ADU together is not going to get bigger if this passes, correct?
The maximum of an ADU, so the ADU,
Combined with the garage.
right, when it's combined with the garage on smaller lots, if this recommended ordinance passes, on smaller lots, the maximum size will be 1,200 square feet. And on larger lots, the maximum size will be 1,400 square feet.
But my question is, will it increase if this passes?
Yes.
Will the maximum increase? Combined maximum? Yep. Okay, I thought you said something to the effect of the maximums wouldn't increase, but that's why I
Just the ADU rules will not change. So the ADUs in Richfield, 300 to 800 square feet, no change.
Okay, and on follow up, there's a lot in these diagrams that's way over my head, but but I trust staff by saying it's a modest change. But like when there are pictures of the pitch on the roof and everything. Why is that in our packet if this isn't a height change? That's on page 13.
I can answer that question, Chair Quam. The reason that the roof pitch is in there is because in our code, we require that roof pitch and siding material resemble the primary structure. So I believe John Sylvester, who's here, included that specifically to show that.
But that is not a change, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Sylvester.
Is
it Sylvestri or Sylvester?
Sylvester works fine, thank you. That's just another point to bring up too, is that you have extreme height conditions that have to be met, and yet you want to create a residence underneath this garage roof, and that doesn't work very well either. It's very hard to get livable space above a garage and height restrictions as well.
Other commissioners? Commissioner Lavin?
So it sounds like, we're making this change because after further review of our initial ADU parameters and square footage, the city's come to the conclusion that what was approved before is simply just too small or inadequate for real situations. This example being one of them, not necessarily because this example needs to get passed. It's because city has decided that the that the code needs to change to accommodate probably future ADU units that may come before us, and have them be I guess more in line with our intent versus the code. Is that, Melissa? Would you agree with that? Because I wish that it would be presented that way. I mean, if we as a city have decided that our initial size restrictions are no longer really adequate for today's real life environment, we should be pushing that as the reason for making the change, and not necessarily because this particular project couldn't meet a variance.
Commissioner Lavin, yes, that is what we're saying. That's how I understood the staff report to be written. This was just a particular example.
I interpreted differently that this was being done because this one did not meet variance. So maybe that's just confusion in the language and how it was presented. And I'm not disagreeing with you. If we do feel that the ADU units, the size wise, needs to be adjusted to conform with what really is, and as the developer has indicated, kind of what really is necessary to get an effective ADU, then I'm on board with that. I think that we just don't want to confuse it with a singular project.
Anyone else before we open the public hearing? This is my last question. This is Chair Quam and Melissa and Nellie staff. I'm sure you did, but did you look at, because this is going to apply across the board if we pass it, did you look at like a small lot in how that could look, like kind of worst case scenario, or, because this sounds like it's great for this property. I know you must have looked at different types of square footage in lots and such. Do you have any input on that you think this is such a small change it won't be a problem on a different configuration?
So for smaller lots, if they're under 15,000 square feet, they still will max out at that 1,200 square foot total floor area for all accessory buildings. So the change then would be 200 square feet. And you'd still have to meet impervious surface limits and setback limits. So on a smaller lot, it's not such a big change.
Okay.
When you get to bigger lots like this one, they can go a little bit bigger then.
Thank you. All right, should we open the public hearing? Then we can talk more after. All right. So for the public to call in, the number is 612-861-0651. All are welcome to call, and I already read a little bit about the public hearings. So do we have a motion to open the public hearing?
Commissioner Penn, so moved.
Thank you.
Commissioner Versa, second.
Thank you. All right. So first of all, did we have any people call or write in ahead of time for the public hearing, staff?
Chair Quam, we did not receive any comments, and there are no callers currently on the line.
So we'll pause just 30 seconds and see if we get a caller. All right, no callers, I take it. So let's continue. Okay, so now, should we make a motion and then discuss further? Is that what people would like? Does that sound good? All right, I'm gonna, will someone make a motion? Commissioner Lavin?
I make a motion to amend city code as presented by staff.
Second?
I will second it, Commissioner Rudolph.
Well,
All right, Melissa?
we need to close the public hearing.
Oh, I forgot that again. Okay. So do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
Rosenberg, so moved.
Commissioner Rudolph, second.
Thank you. It's really hard to remember when there's nobody that attends it. Okay. So that public hearing is closed. And now, could you repeat your motion, Commissioner Lavin?
Yeah, I motion that the item up for proposal is the path according to. Do I have to say the exact language, or can I just say as proposed by city management? That
Staff,
the code be changed according to city management's language.
is that okay, staff?
Generally, we do read what's at the top of the staff report, but if you don't have it in front of you, perhaps the person seconding could do that.
I'm trying to find it.
Did you say the person that seconds can do that?
She did say that, yeah.
Okay. I would like to make a second to recommend approval of an ordinance related to garage size in the single-family residential R and R1 districts.
Okay, Commissioner Rudolph seconds. Discussion? Commissioner Sturza?
I just thank staff for bringing this forward. I think that it makes a lot of sense to amend the code in this one case illustrates the need to amend code, and I appreciate that the staff brought this forward as a.
Thank you. Commissioner Rosenberg?
I just want to say that I'm going to support this because I think this is something that it addresses a fact of life, just as Ms. McHenry was talking about, and I think this is a real important step, and it will be good for her and also good for the community, because I do think that this is up and coming, that there are going to be more people. I'm in your generation, Ms. McHenry. I understand, I get it, and so that no one wants to live alone, and it'd be great to have this type of living arrangement so you could be close to your family. So I think this is a good thing.
Commissioner Keneally?
Yeah, I do think it's wonderful. I've enjoyed learning about this change, and I remain a little concerned about the neighbor behind the house, and just wondering about how communication will go there.
Commissioner Rosenberg?
Yeah, I just have a question for the resident. Is this house on an alley, or will this be street access to your garage? You're muted.
Okay. Sorry. It's Margaret McInerney speaking. There's not an alley. It's
Okay.
access with a driveway.
Okay.
So in regarding Mr. Keneally's comment about the neighbor, we will follow up with that neighbor and report back to Melissa or Nellie once I'll send my son over there with a cup of coffee and a donut.
Sounds like it's going to go just fine.
I think it will.
And this is Chair Quam. So is it possible to pull up that, I know it's digging, but that slide that shows where the neighbor is? And, as far as it is good to be neighborly, but once this passes, it doesn't matter, it will affect everybody. So we can't just base it on one good neighbor that you are. So is it possible to look at the slide, Nellie, is there something that shows where the neighbor is that this would most be near in response to Commissioner Keneally's comment?
I am just going to look through. I'm not sure off the top of my head. There might be something.
Could I address that briefly?
Excuse me, could you wait to be called on? Thank you. Thanks.
I could pull up the Google Earth aerial view if that's helpful.
Melissa?
Commissioners, page 10 of your packet does include a layout that shows that there are some large trees at the rear of this lot. I also want to say that this proposed change, in terms of the neighbor behind, is not going to make a large difference. The width of the garage is allowable, the height of the ADU is allowable. From the perspective of that person behind, this really isn't going to look any different than something that would have been constructed had it met all of the code requirements.
Do you want to chime in, Mr. Silvestri?
I would like to. Thank you. John Sylvester, I just want to say too that the minimum setback for the rear is 10 feet, and we've set the ADU at 22 feet from the rear property line, both for the privacy issue as well as to maintain some trees. So that's another thing to consider. I mean, the code says you can be within 10 feet of the rear property line.
Okay. Anyone else? Are we still looking for that, or are we good with what Melissa said about? Okay. Anyone have further questions, concerns? There's no rush. I mean, I want people to be comfortable. All right, so I think we're closing discussion. Is that correct? Last call. Okay, so we had a motion, second discussion. Nellie, would you take roll?
Yes, thank you. Chair Quam,
Aye.
Commissioner Keneally,
Aye.
Commissioner Lavin,
Aye.
Commissioner Pinn,
Aye.
Commissioner Rosenberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Rudolph,
Aye.
Commissioner Sursa.
Aye.
All ayes, the motion passes.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for your input, and thank you too for attending our meeting. I'm glad it worked out as hoped.
Thank you so
Good luck
much.
with your project.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, bye-bye. Okay, next we have, let's see, where are we at? So next we have, this is our February organizational meeting. I'm changing gears here. Also, I think of it as our annual meeting, so we're going to discuss Planning Commission elections, liaison appointments, and bylaws if we have any anything we're interested in changing the bylaws. So first we have election of Planning Commission chairperson, and then vice chairperson, and then secretary. So do we have any nominations for Planning Commission chairperson?
I would like,
Commissioner Rudolph?
I think Commissioner Lavin raised his hand first.
That's okay. I was just going to suggest I would nominate you again, Catherine, as the chair. You've done a great job, and I would be very comfortable with you continuing in that role.
And Rosenberg seconds.
I will definitely third that because that's what I was going to bring up. So, come on.
Wow. Okay, do we have any other nominations? We can have more than one. And I think you can self-nominate. Okay, I'm going to take my cue from Mary Supple at HRA. I'm going to say it 3 times. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Okay, and then let's see. So do we vote by roll call again? I guess so. Yeah, Nellie, would you take roll call on me being the chair again?
Yes. Chair Quam,
Aye.
Commissioner Keneally,
Aye.
Commissioner Lavin,
Aye.
Commissioner Pinn,
Aye.
Commissioner Rosenberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Rudolph,
Aye.
Commissioner Sursa.
Aye.
All ayes, and the motion passes.
Thank you, commissioners. That means a lot to me, and it's been kind of hard to learn all of it, but I feel like I'm getting a little more fluid at it. But I really appreciate all of you, and I want you to reach out to me and let me know how this process can be better for you. So thanks a lot. All right, next we are going to elect our vice chairperson. Do we have a nomination for vice chair?
All
Any
right.
self-nominations?
I guess I will nominate Commissioner Lavin for vice chair.
Okay. Do we have any other nominations for vice chair?
I'll second Commissioner Lavin if he so accepts.
This is Chair Quam. I will give Commissioner Pinn the option to be vice chair again. You already seconded Commissioner Lavin, but
Yeah, I personally I don't have a lot of time this coming year to be able to sub in if needed. So I'm worried about that. So I might have
Okay.
to not do
Thank
that.
you for being our vice chair. Commissioner Rudolph, are you interested in a nomination for vice chair in addition?
You know, I think maybe next year. You know, I'm very open to it. You know, I was looking at serving our community. You know, but I think Commissioner Lavin would do a fantastic job.
Okay, I'm
If
going
he
to
accepts.
also nominate Commissioner Rudolph. Sounds like you're on the fence, so I'm going to get 2 of you out there. Any other nominations? We can have 3 nominations. And I know some of you don't want it, so I'm not even going to bother. Okay. Any other nominations for vice chair? Okay, so did you accept the nomination, Commissioner Rudolph?
You put me on the spot. I did not.
Okay.
You do not?
I did not. No.
Okay. You decline?
I decline. I thank you.
Sorry to put you on the spot. We needed an answer. Okay, I believe the nominee has to accept the nomination, I'm pretty sure, so.
I'll accept the nomination. I would, just add that I've chaired FPAC before. I'm familiar with, the order of conducting meetings. I didn't expect to be nominated. I really, I'm fine. I'm happy to step into that role. I'm assuming that it would only be in rare cases, Commissioner Kwame, when you can't do it. So, that's fine. I'm happy to step in administratively to conduct these meetings if needed.
All right, are we ready for roll call vote? All right, Nellie, will you take roll call for vice chair for Commissioner Lavin being vice chair?
Yes, thank you. Chair Kwam,
Aye.
Commissioner Keneally,
Aye.
Commissioner Lavin,
Aye.
Commissioner Pinn,
Aye.
Commissioner Rosenberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Rudolph,
Aye.
Commissioner Stursa.
Aye.
All ayes, the motion passes.
Congratulations, Vice Chair Lavin. All right, now do we have any nominations for secretary? Currently, Commissioner Rudolph is secretary, so I'm going to nominate Commissioner Rudolph to be secretary again.
And I will accept.
Okay.
I'll second
Any
that.
other nominations? Okay, thank you. Sorry to interrupt you. Commissioner Pinn second. Any other nominations for secretary? Any other nominations? Okay, Nellie, we take roll for Commissioner. Yes, Commissioner Pinn.
Sorry, I just had one quick question to clarify on secretary. Being that we're remote now, Commissioner Rudolph, have you been getting things to sign, or?
I have been getting things to sign.
Okay.
I do sign them remotely
Okay.
through an application. And
Okay. No, I was just curious how that was.
Yeah, it's been interesting, but I'm very well aware of how that process works.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So Nellie, will you take roll for Commissioner Rudolph being secretary another year?
Yes, I will. Chair Kwam,
Aye.
Commissioner Keneally,
Aye.
Commissioner Lavin,
Aye.
Commissioner Pinn,
Aye.
Commissioner Rosenberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Rudolph,
Aye.
Commissioner Stursa.
Aye.
All ayes, the motion passes.
All right, thank you for taking all of our roll calls. So we're done with electing our 3 officers, and now we move on to, and that will start at the next meeting, I guess, even though it says immediately, but next is appointment of liaisons to the different commissions. We have them right now. So this is, I'll read them off. What we've done the last couple of years is the chair just read them and somebody said, I'll take that. Is that, I'm open to other ways of doing it. But otherwise, if we do it that way, I just want to advise newer commissioners to don't be shy. Okay, if there's a commission you like, you don't have to be polite, and I guess it's first come, first serve. Okay. Okay. All right. So who would like to be our liaison to City Council?
I can continue to do that.
Commissioner Rosenberg will continue to be our liaison to City Council. I'll read the list real quickly, just so we know where we're going. Community Services Advisory Commission, Housing and Redevelopment Authority, School Board, Transportation Commission, Chamber of Commerce, and we have a newer commission, the Sustainability Commission, if somebody's more interested in that. I don't see why we couldn't have a liaison to that, where they talk about things like universal garbage removal and tree preservation and things. Okay, so the next one is the Community Services Advisory Commission. Who's interested? Okay.
I am
Melissa?
interested in keeping that.
Melissa?
Chair Quam, I just wanted to make sure that Commissioner Keneally understands what being a liaison to another commission entails. And the idea is that the liaison to another commission either virtually attends if you choose to, or follows up reading through the packets and the minutes and then reporting to the Planning Commission on what's happening in other areas of the city.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Rudolph?
I would be interested in taking another round at community services.
Thank you. So you are it. First come, first serve. Okay, the next one is Housing and Redevelopment Authority. I'm going to probably pass that off because being chair takes so much prep. I really think someone else could do maybe a better job. It's kind of an interesting one because it overlaps with the Planning Commission. So is anyone interested in being our HRA liaison?
I can do that.
Thank you, Commissioner Sursa. I appreciate it. All right, next we have School Board liaison. Commissioner Lavin?
Yeah, I'd continue to do that if that's unless someone's really wanting to take that over. I'll continue as co-chair of FPAC. I have that insight that we meet monthly, so I think it makes sense.
Yeah, thank you. All right, next is Transportation Commission. Yeah, Commissioner Keneally.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to do that.
All right, thank you. Good, good. You both have some new commissioners have some interesting commissions. And then we have Chamber of Commerce, which, is there anyone interested in that? Okay, and anyone interested in the Sustainability Commission? Commissioner Penn?
I can take the Sustainability Commission. Since the new commission, all that's up on the website as far as their meeting times and everything else, right?
Yep, they're on video just like us.
Okay. And then I did have a question, I guess, for staff. You know, when I was doing the Community Services Commission last year, 2 years ago, I had a hard time staying up to date with a lot of what they have because they didn't put their minutes out until like way later. And there wasn't video of that one. Is that? Do you know if that's going to be a similar issue with the Sustainability Commission?
Commissioner Pinn, it's the practice that we don't post the minutes until they are approved, just like we don't post the Planning Commission minutes until they're approved. So yes, there is a lag time there. I'm sure that the staff liaison would be happy to speak with you if you'd like. Otherwise, the videos are available the next day. So
okay.
Yes, those are posted the next day.
And those are just on the city web. I've never tried to access videos for other commissions, so those are just on the city website.
Yes, they are.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I'll go for the sustainability.
All right, thank you. And something I've done, this is Chair Quam, is if you find that you can report it 2 months later if it's still relevant. It doesn't have to be only things that happened in the last 30 days. I don't think. If it's still something we'd be interested in. All right, I think we're done with that part. So the next item for consideration is review of Planning Commission bylaws. Staff, do you read that portion? You want me to?
I'll just jump in and say that we are not proposing any changes to the bylaws this year. So hopefully you took a look and reviewed those. As a reminder, we took a comprehensive look at the bylaws a few years ago to make sure that all of the commission's bylaws are in alignment. So these are pretty standardized right now. If you do have things that you'd like to discuss, they could be discussed at this meeting. You'd have to vote on them at a following meeting.
Thank you.
Stop it.
So anybody have any thing they are interested in discussing about our bylaws? We have on the city code, there's all the commissions are described in their bylaws, and then our own is a branch of that, and they can't contradict, but they don't. And also our bylaws are on our webpage, on the Planning Commission webpage. So anybody have anything that's okay? No, it doesn't look like it. All right, so we don't even have to vote, right? Because we're not proposing any changes. So the bylaws stand and they can change at any time. Okay, so next, liaison reports. Commissioner Rudolph, do you have a report from Community Services Advisory Commission?
Oh, yeah, 1 second. I mean, so they had a COVID update and they just did some procedural things like appointing new chairs and liaisons like we did.
Sorry, thank you. Okay, Commissioner Rosenberg, anything from City Council?
I went over some of their minutes and some of the agendas, and not a whole lot of just real procedural type things. Nothing, no basic report.
Okay, thanks, Commissioner Rosenberg. Chair Quam has the Housing and Redevelopment Authority one more time. I just wanted to report that they had a HRA, was short, that's the acronym for it. Commissioner Pat Elliott has, I think, resigned from the HRA, so there is an opening. They have 4 on there now, and there's an opening for a 5th, but applications close in 2 days, February 24th. So if anyone listening is interested, or anyone on here wants to leave the commission, you can't do both. I'm not sure what Pat Elliott, if he's involved in anything else, but he's served Richfield for a long time as a council member, as our mayor, as an HRA commissioner. So what else? Yeah, Commissioner Rosenberg. Yeah,
I do have something. The Charter Commission they are looking for new members, and so this is a commission that meets kind of on an as needed basis. It's not a real regular meeting, but they are going over, and there is some proposals that are coming up, particularly about organized garbage hauling and that sort of thing that might have some impact to our charter. So they're very serious about looking for new members, and that is something that I believe, Melissa, that you can have a dual commission if you're on the charter, and can you be on another commission at the same time, or am I?
Commissioner Rosenberg, that's a great question. I do not know the answer to that one.
I was thinking that you could help.
This is Commissioner Rudolph. I do know the answer to that one because my wife, Lisa, has been on the Charter Commission as well as the chair of another commission for the last few years. So that is possible.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking about. But they apparently several of the Charter Commission members are retiring and their terms are up, and so they are looking for some people to replace that. So just kind of another thing to keep in mind. And if you have like I said, it's an as needed type of meeting schedule.
Commissioner Rosenberg, do you know if that has a deadline too, or is that?
Yeah, the 24th. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we're to the end here, Wednesday.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And then just lastly on the HRA, is Mary Supple was reelected as chair, and now Erin Brees Daniels is the vice chair, and Maria Regan Gonzalez is elected as secretary. So next we have Commissioner Lavin, Richfield School Board.
Sorry, I tried to get on mute. No update yet. Obviously, there's changes going on with the governor's and CDC's recommendations for back to school, and I know that they're working on trying to figure what that means for our district, but I don't have a formal update at this time.
Thank you. Transportation Commission, we do not currently have a liaison. Well, we do, but will be next month. We will have a liaison again. Commissioner Stursa, anything from Chamber of Commerce?
It sounds like the chamber hosted a lunch and learn with Police Chief Hethorn last week. That looks like it was well attended. And then there's going to be a ribbon cutting for Foss Swimming School on March 3rd. In the old, oh, you know, I just lost the name of the store.
Pier 1.
Yes, Pier 1. So that's happening as well.
Wonderful, thank you. It's your last report. Okay, that's all of them. Finally, we have the city planner's report. Would you do that, please?
Thank you, Chair Quam. As you can see on your agenda, you have a lot of meetings coming up in the next couple of months. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I do want to highlight a few. Tomorrow night, you've got a work session with the City Council to talk about proposed changes to our subdivision and platting ordinances. That's something that's been on planning staff's to-do list pretty much for 20 years. The ordinances are in desperate need of an update. So Ryan will be presenting a little bit of a primer on what these ordinances do and how they work, and then also some proposed policy changes related to how we administer them and approve them. So that's tomorrow night. There's also a work session on the 15th that I'd encourage you to attend. That is with the council, the HRA, and the Human Rights Commission. It's to discuss the Just Deeds project. That's a project that provides free legal and title services to help property owners find and remove racially restrictive covenants from their properties. And just so you know, if you are not familiar with the Mapping Prejudice project in Richfield, there have been over 4,000 racially restrictive covenants identified on our parcels. So there's a decent possibility that there is a covenant on your property. So this project would allow the city to participate in this, to help connect homeowners to attorneys, and there'll be a presentation on how we can get involved in that. This Wednesday, 2 days from now, is the kickoff meeting for the CNU project. This is the project that has been delayed an entire year. Congress for New Urbanism is CNU. We're working with Bloomington on the area around the Portland 494 interchange between 77th Street and American Boulevard, looking at how to revitalize that area, improve mobility, encourage investment. And so the kickoff meeting, like I said, is Wednesday. You can go to our website. If you just search for CNU, you'll come up with the Portland Legacy Project page, and there you can register to attend that kickoff meeting. It's at 6 p.m. on Wednesday. And then also there's a Portland and 66 sub-area study going on. Many of you have heard about this. It's the area in which the moratorium is in place. And online now are the first round of engagement activities. Similarly, if you go to our website, pull up Portland and 66 study area, or go to our Facebook page, look for the post, you can link to those online activities. We're looking for people to tell us, you know, what they love about Vets Park, what appropriate development in that area would look like, how it would interact with the park and be respectful of that. So please encourage folks to participate in that. And then finally, commissioners are going to be invited or asked to participate in some equity and inclusion training with our new equity and inclusion administrator, Bill Green. There will be 3 opportunities to do that. We'll send you those dates. There'll be a midday session, an afternoon session, and then an evening session on different dates. So you're strongly encouraged to attend that and meet Bill and talk about our initiatives in regard to that. I'm going to leave it at that because that's a lot, but feel free to reach out if you can't keep track of all those dates. As you know, work sessions, times, dates can change, fluctuate, but we'll try to keep you in the loop as soon as we know.
Commissioner Penn and then Commissioner Sursa.
Thank you. Melissa, I just had a question about the restrictive covenants work. Is that something that's going to be initiated across like by the city of Richfield, and they'll be contacting homeowners if they find them, or is it up to the homeowner to come to the city to then initiate that process?
That's a great question. We're going to be advertising this service, assuming that the city council decides to participate. This is a program that's been launched by the Minnesota Association of City and County Attorneys, MACA. And we would participate with them. We'd host things on our website. We're planning to advertise this to homeowners, send out things with our point of sale information, and encourage homeowners to look into this. We look at it as a good way to help educate people. So yeah, will be a link. We will not, we're obviously not real estate attorneys, and so we won't go through that part of the process, but we will put everyone in touch with who they need to be in touch with.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Sturza?
I was just curious with the upcoming work sessions and wanting to make them as effective as possible, when to expect any background information or packet information on those, just so I set aside time for that.
Sure. Packets come out the week before, just like the standard packets that you get for Planning Commission. The look on your face tells me perhaps you did not get the information for tomorrow's work session.
Today's work session came like an hour or two before, and I was able to rearrange some things to sneak it in, but just and like maybe that's just the way it happens and I should just be prepared for that. And that's why I ask, is like, is it something that usually comes out day of, or?
Sure. So the information about today's work session was provided last week. I believe there was a presentation that was provided today. We tried to provide the presentations ahead of time, but we don't always. So that's why you've got additional information today. But there seems to have been an error if you did not get the packet information for tomorrow.
Other commissioners, am I the only one who didn't get? Okay.
Okay, it was our understanding that it was going to be sent to you. You can just go on the website. I will send you a link as soon as this meeting is done, and link to the packet from the city council page. I apologize for that.
Thank you.
All right.
And please, if you don't get information, please just email one of us. It is a little bit harder with the joint work sessions to make sure that we know who's doing what.
Thanks. And I think you said our next meeting. Did you? Okay. Our next regular meeting of the Planning Commission will be Monday, March 22nd at 7 p.m. here on WebEx again. And that's it for tonight. That was a lot of stuff. So thanks everybody, commissioners, staff, viewers, everyone. Have a good night. Welcome.
Do we need a motion to end the meeting? No.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay, don't leave. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Commissioner Sturgeon.
So moved. A second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I think we still have a quorum. Okay, so all in favor of adjourning, Melissa, Nellie, will you take?
We all say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.